The nasty truth about personal hygiene in ancient Egypt. It's clear from studies of ancient culture that the Egyptians were far ahead of their time. It is well known, though, that hygiene wasn't really an important part of their lives. How did the Egyptians take care of their hygiene? Did you know they already used deodorant? Let's dive in. Societies, like ancient Egypt, had to be inventive and innovative to live, since they lacked sanitation and other contemporary luxuries. For the ancient Egyptians, social status was the main determinant of quality of life. The ancient Egyptians had a lot of hygiene quirks that made their culture distinct, whether they had a toilet or had to bathe in a crocodile-infested river. First, let's see how cautious they were for hygiene. The mint breath. The world's first dentist, Thieth Mint Hessi Re, is said to have worked for Pharaoh Djoser in the 3rd dynasty of Egypt, circa 1600 BC. Because the ancient Egyptians placed a high value on having clean breath, they made it a point to ensure that they had ready access to a variety of techniques that might mask or eliminate foul breath. They were known to chew on various plants such as parsley during the day and after meals. To make breath mints for those whose breath smelled as awful as the armpits of the lower class, honey was blended with boiling herbs and spices like cinnamon and myrrh. The world's earliest toothpaste formula has been found in a group of papyrus texts housed in Vienna, Austria, at the National Library. Given that iris is a potent remedy for gum disease, the mixture, which comprises dried iris flower, salt, pepper, and mint, is hailed as being innovative. Surprisingly, the healing powers of the iris have just lately been discovered by scientists, confirming the ancient Egyptians' ingenuity. Process of circumcision for cleanliness. Even though anthropologists are divided on the origins of circumcision, it is known that the rite was used in Egypt as early as 4000 BC. Mass circumcision ceremonies would often be held among the higher classes, where they were acknowledged as puberty rituals and for reasons of hygiene. Some historians feel that the need for cleanliness was the original motivation behind this practice, even though it may have been maintained for other reasons. Inscriptions that were discovered in temples and tombs led experts to think that uncircumcised men were barred from entering the structures because they were considered to be impure. Many women acquired the practice of removing their pubic hair either by shaving or experimenting with various natural types of hair removal. Shaving was the most common method of pubic hair removal. Women had the belief that partaking in this ritual helped them ward off fleas and lice, in addition to preparing them for intimate encounters. They cleansed their bodies with laxatives and enemas. Ancient Egyptians were interested in the body and sought to learn more about human health, as seen by their sophisticated mummification procedure. Doctors also performed medicine, despite the fact that many of them served as priests and frequently believed that illness resulted from offending the gods. They advised using laxatives or purgatives to aid in intestinal cleaning. Many Egyptians used laxatives 3 days a month because they thought it would assist the body to get rid of sickness. Even while trying to treat diarrhea, they utilized castor oil to push waste out of the body. Additionally, the Egyptians engaged proto-proctologists to check their anuses and utilized enemas to clean their insides. Body fragrance, deodorant. Anyone who lived before the 20th century was probably a little smelly, and many people still battle with this now. The Egyptians, who are sometimes credited with creating the first deodorant, used a range of spices, including citrus and cinnamon, to try to mask their offensive scents. They were able to form natural deodorant pellets that they stored in their armpits by blending and grinding a variety of scents, including the flowering evergreen bushes of a carob tree. They also removed their underarm hair after finding that it lessened their pungent smell. According to legend, the Greeks imitated the Egyptian practice of applying perfume under the arm, but it wasn't until the late 18th century, when sweat glands were found, that the relationship between body odor and perspiration was fully known. The main reason for eye makeup. Ancient Egyptian men and women used cosmetics because of the additional benefits they brought in addition to the improvement of their appearance. People would start by applying eyeshadow, mascara, and eyeliner after first softening their skin with oils and then applying face treatments made of honey or aloe. Eyeliner was popular not just as a beauty statement, but also as a means of shielding one's eyes from the glare of the sun and driving away pesky flies. Coal was typically employed for this purpose. People would take natural components such as malachite and galena and grind them into a powder. The powder would then be combined with fat to make a cream, and the finished cosmetics would be stored in jars. While those of higher social standing had access to ornate jars crafted from high-quality materials, those of lesser social standing constructed cosmetic containers out of less expensive and more straightforward materials. Despite all these precautions, the Egyptians also had some disgusting personal hygiene habits. Bathing facility. Since only the wealthy owned toilets, people relieved themselves outside. The seats of many of the luxurious Egyptian toilets were constructed of limestone. Someone had the terrible task of emptying the sand-filled box that the stone was sitting on top of. The less fortunate discharged themselves outside, frequently in a hole that they dug in the ground. Despite the fact that the water in the river was also used for drinking, bathing, and washing clothing, many individuals used the Nile as their restroom. Due to their lack of sewage infrastructure, the ancient Egyptians frequently dumped excrement and other debris in pits, open fields, or canals, polluting the river and the fields where they cultivated their food. Despite their best efforts, the Egyptians struggled with sickness brought on by filthy environments, rodents, parasites, and insects, which claim many lives every year. Hair and lice. When it came to fending off rodents and parasites, the Egyptians experienced their fair share of difficulties. Men, women, and children would shave their heads to get rid of head lice, while priests would do the same every other day to ensure that no lice or any other filthy thing may come to be upon them when they served the gods. While shaving could be momentarily useful, other repellent therapies proved dubious. For instance, it was thought that a heated mixture of date meal and water would ward off fleas and lice. Cat's fat would be spread on everything imaginable to prevent mice from getting into garments. One method for removing and repelling fleas in one's home involved sprinkling a solution of natron water that contained salt. They covered their shorn heads with wigs made of genuine human or horse hair. The rich frequently had a variety of looks that they could use for various occasions. The wig could easily be thrown out if lice did manage to infest it. Wigs were also used to stay cool in the heat. The poorer classes, however, frequently donned head coverings in place of wigs, or created wig-like objects out of papyrus since they could not afford fine wigs. Despite all of these attempts, no one was able to entirely avoid the issue. Researchers have found many mummies that had lice infestations. Washing clothes. People used water contaminated with parasites to wash their clothes. Despite wearing relatively little clothes for a major portion of Egyptian history, succeeding generations developed bigger wardrobes and insisted that what they wore be clean. Typically, linen was used to make clothing. Since the fabric was white, dirt was very clearly visible on the clothes. This necessitated washing more frequently, which was a difficult task. Due to the labor-intensive process required to remove dirt from the clothing, the Egyptians assigned males the responsibility of washing laundry. The rich used laundry services and paid people to do their washing, but the poorer classes had to wash their own garments in the Nile River. The river was frequently utilized for both waste disposal and personal hygiene, so the water was teeming with parasites and other disease-causing organisms. Additionally, there was a chance of getting hurt or killed by hippos or crocodiles that were hiding in the river when washing. We can say that many things modern societies have come to associate with ancient Egyptians, such as dark eye makeup and wigs, were adopted not only for appearances, but also as methods of survival in an area scorched by the sun and an era plagued by insects, vermin, and parasites. This ends the video for today. Do you know some other facts about Egyptian hygiene? Tell us your comments. Also, like, share, and subscribe to the channel to see more historic facts. See you next time.